Hey Tanzan, how are you?
Hi Jess, good. How are you?
Good, thank you. To everyone who's listening and watching, welcome to the second episode of Rescue Roundtable. We're already behind the eight ball with we've already been delayed a week with our second episode, but that wasn't our fault. We were 4 minutes into recording with our special guest Karina from the Bamaga police station, and her phone had an absolute meltdown. It just overheated and died, and then our
Yeah,
schedules haven't lined up again. But they will. She will come on the podcast hopefully for the next episode.
yes,
All right, so this is just going to be a real quick little nippy episode of everything that's happened in the past 2 weeks. So I'm
yeah,
going to hand over to you about our Halloween event. How did that go?
yeah, sure. So we had a Halloween event last week on the Thursday, which Gab, our beautiful RA admin lady, she hosted that one. So that was fantastic. Um, and it was amazing. All the dogs won their prizes. It was
So
just a really
cute.
great night.
It
We
was
had
like
a,
waggiest tail and spookiest
yeah,
costume and stuff for the dogs. And they
yeah.
actually ended up getting the kennel club to judge. Is that right?
Yeah, and they ended up in the Cairns Post, which was really cute.
Super cute.
um, we actually had two adoptions from that night. So we had a lovely man and his family come, and they absolutely fell in love with Wario and Benny. So
Yeah,
they adopted both dogs, which is incredible.
that is
Um,
crazy. Like,
yeah,
it's amazing to have two adoptions, but the fact that they get to stay together is also super cute because they love each
yeah,
other.
it's the best, and I think they're very, very happy. And the family is just beautiful. So yeah, that was an amazing
Amazing.
outcome.
Have we had
Yeah.
any other adoptions this week? I think one more.
Yeah. One of our long termers, Goldie, she's been in care for, I think it's about 130 days now.
Wow,
Um, so she got adopted last week, which is
that's
amazing. So
amazing. And they have another
yeah,
Shar there, don't they? The adopters.
yeah, they do. So they adopted a Shar a couple months ago now. And she's just a menace. She's really cute. But she definitely needed a friend. And then so Goldie is, yeah, so a bit of background about her. She's from Bamaga. And she is a Shar cross. So worked out really well. And yeah, she got adopted last week, and the dog's
Interestingly,
just,
it was Karina who we were meant to be chatting with last week
yeah,
who saved Goldie, isn't it? Isn't it?
yeah,
Is that
that's
right?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Goldie was found on the streets, just skin and bone. She had really bad pneumonia. And Karina had her for a fair few months, and then we took
Yeah.
her on and got her into care. And yeah, she's been a long term of ours. So, um, which
Don't know
130
why. She's
days.
stunning. And she's a gorgeous dog too,
Yeah,
as in like her temperament and everything. So,
yeah,
oh well,
that's
she got
right.
a happy
So
ending.
yeah, no, she's very happy now, and she's just beautiful, which is amazing. So
Good. All right, you've
yeah.
been busy as well saving a pound girl this week, haven't you?
Yeah, so we have a girl in a pound who does need to be busted out, and we're desperately trying to do that. We actually rescued her brother Mango a couple months ago, who was adopted straight away. We got a foster care for him, and it was
Yeah,
like
that
a
was
day. He
amazing.
was like,
Yeah.
yeah. So that was incredible. And now we've got his sister, which we named Coda. Um, so she's in the pound. We are desperately trying to find a foster carer for her. It's a little bit sad. So RSPCA are involved, and continually involved with the owners. Um,
Yeah. The
basically,
property that
it's
she came from and that Mango came from
yeah,
too.
yeah. So it's a bit of an abusive background, but it's also like a breeding background. Um, the problem is, one, it's not a registered breeding. Two, it's siblings. So
You mean that Coda
unfortunately,
is pregnant or just we think she's pregnant or
so we think that Coda's pregnant. She's just come off heat.
Okay.
So, and there's multiple dogs there. We do believe that she could be pregnant,
To a
which means
sibling.
that to a sibling. So
Gross.
usually, like, we have saved mums and bubs before, but due to the whole sibling situation, it's obviously not a situation that
Yeah.
she should be
Yeah.
having. And
Yeah.
obviously, if you do have inbred pups, there's going to be so many issues. So
Yeah, it's not fair
unfortunately,
to bring them in.
yeah. So we have prioritized her spaying, and she will be spayed next week and having an abortion. Hopefully she's not pregnant, but we're
Hopefully
pretty
that would be the
confident.
best outcome, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But we are pretty confident that she could be. So
Yeah.
which is a bit upsetting. So and she's been in that situation for 2 years. So
Poor thing.
she really does deserve the best. She's absolutely beautiful too. Like, she's a stunning girl.
Are we
So
still looking for a foster for her? Because she's still in the pound at the moment, right?
yeah, we are. So hopefully we can find a foster carer within the region, Cairns, Innisfail.
Yeah,
surrounds.
because we need to get her spayed ASAP before, anything progresses further.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we do have a potential foster care in Cooktown, but we desperately need transportation. So
yeah,
if we
and
are,
Cooktown's about 3.5 hours north of Mariba, is that right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a bit far from our vets and everything like that, but at least we've got a backup plan.
Yeah, definitely not an ideal situation in terms of vet care. But yeah, if it means saving her life, then I've been pretty desperate to get her there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm hoping that we can find a carer close enough to a vet just in
weekend.
case anything happens. Yeah.
For sure.
So,
all right. Oh, do you want to chat about everything that went down literally 10 minutes before our phone call?
Yeah. So, we've got a gorgeous girl, Gypsy. She's absolutely stunning. And she's just got the best personality. She does have a sore paw, which she's been to 2 vets about. And
I think it was like the elbow sort of area. Is that right? Or was it a back leg?
It could be an elbow. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah. Anyway, the carer has been communicating with the vets about it, haven't they?
Yeah. And basically, they think that it may be a previous injury. So, but they're not, it's not of concern, which is great. Well, it wasn't.
And we got a second opinion because we have an amazing guy who came all the way up from New South Wales, drove all the way from New South Wales to come and adopt Gypsy and take her back home with him.
Yeah.
Which
and so
he picked her up today, correct?
Correct. And then so he's driven all the way down to Townsville, but upon getting to Townsville, Gypsy went for a play and she was a little bit, I think, maybe a little bit too rough, and she's re-hurt her foot. So due to that, and it could be just the worry about any further damage, he's decided to not go ahead with the adoption.
Which is fair. It could be many thousands of dollars to fix her legs. So but that was all at 10 to 5 this afternoon, and Tans and I were madly trying to find someone in Townsville to look after Gypsy for at least a night or two.
Yeah, so obviously being I'm 3.5 hours away, it's quite hard, but we've ended up finding an amazing foster carer. So he actually adopted one of our girls, Dinah, and him and his wife are just incredible. Dinah's got the best life, and
also regular donors. So thank you very much if you're listening to this. I won't name you, but thank you very much.
They're amazing. And so I literally just called and said, could you do us a favor? Just straight away, yes, which is amazing. So Gypsy's got somewhere to go tonight, and then we'll have to organise her transport from Townsville to Cairns. So
and then we're going to do x-rays, and once we know what's going on, we'll see whether after her leg is fixed or amputated, whatever ends up happening there, whether this adoption might still go ahead, but we've just got to see how it plays out, hey?
Yeah, that's right. And it's just one of those situations, we did do 2 vet opinions, so
because we didn't want anything to happen like this.
Exactly.
So is what it is, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
things happen.
Which brings us to, I think the only other intake we had, well, when I say only, I think that's still, 3 intakes in 1 week, which is a lot for us.
Yeah,
But, or 4 intakes, because there was 3 Pomperol pups, weren't there?
there was. Yeah, yeah.
Do you
So
want to chat
3
about them?
Yeah, so we got a message from a police officer in a remote community, Pompero, and
Yeah.
basically, these dogs she had come across, and they were extremely malnourished, riddled with worms, and needed our assistance. So, their owners had actually done the right thing and reached out and said that they had been struggling and would like to get assistance. So, of course, we're going to help and we're going to take them on, and they were
Yeah.
happy to surrender them. So we did that. And the dogs have arrived. We're very, very thankful actually to Pompero Police, because they drove all
Yeah.
the way to Cairns to drop these dogs off.
Oh my God. Wow.
Which was amazing. And then Az, who works with us, went and collected them from somewhere in Cairns. So
And they've just
massive
gone to
shout out
their
to the
foster
police
care.
officers.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
amazing. And also a shout out to the owners who did the right thing,
Yeah,
recognised that they couldn't care for these pups anymore and reached out for
yeah.
help. Because it's not an easy thing to do, is it?
No, definitely not. And I think that is something that, like, we definitely should be discussing as well today,
Yeah.
just on that.
Yeah.
We did obviously post for them, because we needed to obviously raise funds to get them into care, and they're in such a critical condition that we need to get them, straight to a vet and looked after.
Yeah.
So, being such a small rescue with over 40 dogs in care, we did have to take that avenue to ask for donations and post about
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Sometimes previously we've been able to do similar rescues sort of behind the scenes.
yeah,
Not that we ever
yeah,
want to hide anything. We're very open. Hence
yeah,
why we do a podcast about everything that goes on. But
yeah,
we've been able to act fast and just make it happen and then update our community afterwards previously. But this time we
yeah.
just genuinely needed help from our community, didn't we?
Yeah, that's right. And,
Yeah.
it is definitely distressing seeing photos like that, especially if you aren't used to seeing photos like that.
Yeah.
It's distressing for us, of course.
Yeah.
But we did get a lot of comments on the post that weren't very helpful. And
A lot of
instead it was,
hateful comments
yeah,
directed towards remote communities in general. And
that's right.
most of the remote communities that we service across the Cape York area are primarily Indigenous communities. So
Yeah,
therefore the population is mostly First Nations people. And that's what a lot of these comments were focusing on,
that's
terms
right.
like them and us, and really, like segregation, reinforcing that segregation, and it's just not what we're about. So let's chat about it.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of hateful comments, and like I said, they weren't very helpful. So we did reach out to the community for help, which we had an incredible amount of people who,
Yeah.
donated and gave their support, and, some really fantastic messages and comments that came through. But compared to the amount of comments that we got hating communities or putting hateful comments about what should happen to these people was
Yeah,
really
true.
disappointing. Um,
Yeah.
it got to the point where, like, some comments we had to then provide education onto them,
Yeah.
because we had them jumping to conclusions about what community they were from, which wasn't fair
Yeah,
either.
true.
Um,
Yeah. And on that point,
it,
I usually, or we through the rescue, don't usually name the communities that we are engaging with
exactly.
or posting about. And I've already mentioned the community name in this podcast. And I think this is a safe space because the people who are listening to this are within our community and they understand our
Yeah,
message. But for that exact reason, if we had named
yeah,
Pomperor as a community in that post, I'm sure there would have been even more targeted and disappointing comments. And it's not
Yeah.
fair to label a whole community of pet owners based on
Yeah.
one set of pictures that you see online without knowing the backstory or anything
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are your
And I
thoughts?
think that's an important point, like not knowing the backstory, because the thing is, like I said, those photos are distressing. When we get
Yeah,
photos like that, we are equally as heartbroken as the people seeing them who don't usually see pictures.
yeah,
However, the backstory most of the time is there's an owner who's come to us seeking help because they don't have money to feed themselves, let alone a dog,
yeah,
or they don't
yeah,
have a vet, or they've got no access to worming tablets. So, there's things that happen in backstories, and the best thing about it is that we've been able to create a judgment-free zone where this person
mm,
can come to us, or the police can come to us and say, we've been notified by their owners and they're after help. And that's what we're trying to do in community, is create a judgment-free zone.
yeah.
Because if we're
And
out here like listening to those comments and having people who are saying really nasty comments and discriminating against communities and then non-communities, it actually makes the situation worse, because you're
it
not going to
does.
have people who come to you and feel like it's a safe space to get help. And we're
It
not a
makes it
judgy
harder for us to help
yeah
because a lot of we're not in the communities. They don't know us
yeah
at a face value. All they
no
can go off is what they see of our online presence and word of mouth. And we are grateful that I think we have a pretty good word of mouth reputation in
yeah
the communities that we service. But if
yeah
someone was to only know us via our Facebook and then sees that a family that who they probably know might be neighbours with has reached out for help, and then is getting absolutely smashed in our comments section. Obviously, they're
yeah
anonymous, but still, it can be hurtful reading about they should go to jail, all of those things. I do understand, and honestly, I think if you go far back enough in my Facebook history, you might find similar comments from me before I knew better. Um, because there are so many factors, and I feel like a broken record when I talk about it. But I always say, like, okay, imagine that you're at home, it's 9 o'clock at night, the kids are in bed, you've got a busy weekend coming up, it's a Friday night, your dog starts vomiting, and you're like, oh my God, what's going on here? Like, they're off their food, they keep vomiting. Usually we'd just pick up the phone, call an after hours vet and say, hey, what do you think? Should I bring her in? 9 times out of 10, they say, yep, bring her in, let's have a look. Okay, now imagine that scenario, but you're 13 hours away from a vet. Like,
yeah
what can you possibly do? There's not many people who have the ability and means to jump in a car with their dog, drive 13 hours away, stay overnight somewhere, pay to get their dog vetted, pay for accommodation, pay for the fuel, figure out who's going to look after your kids, cancel your weekend plans, all of that, get your dog vetted, which, it's rarely ever a 20-minute consult, yep, you're good to go. It could be a number of days that the dog's in care, and then turn around, you've got a 13-hour drive home with a sick dog. So at some
Not to
point,
mention if the roads are closed off for half the year too.
yeah,
Then
exactly. Yeah, that's right. They're open at the moment, I believe, but as soon as it starts
yeah,
raining, literally flying your dog out is the only option. So
that's right.
even if I was in that situation up there, I don't know what I would do. Like, what
Yeah.
can you do? I don't
I
I
think
don't know
we
the answer,
forget
and
as
that's why we
well.
exist.
Yeah. I think we also forget that across Australia, like in cities and suburbia, there's that much animal abuse, dog fighting, like point
That's a
blank.
good
What we were
point.
just talking about with Coda was like backyard
Yeah,
breeding with siblings. Like
not even in a
there's so
remote
much.
community. Yeah,
Absolutely. So it's not specific to community. It's literally all over
yeah,
Australia, and it could be happening right next door. And that's the
and you
thing.
wouldn't
It's
know.
oh sorry. Yeah.
Your dog's making an
Anyway,
appearance.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's so common, and it is horrible, but it's
Yeah.
everywhere, and
Yeah.
we're seeing
It's
more
not
and more
fair to
cases.
paint everyone with the same brush.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many cases that we come across in Cairns. So I feel
That's
like
true.
people either aren't aware of it, refuse to believe that it happens, or finds it easier to blame a remote community.
Yeah.
And yeah, like it is
And
a difficult thing to talk about, and it's great to raise awareness on it. But at the same time, like I feel like before people comment hateful comments about remote communities, it's harmful to us as well. If we break our relationship with community because they think that we're judging or allowing a space to spread hurtful and hateful comments, then we're not going to be able to save any dogs in the future.
That's true.
So,
and it's just it, like you mentioned, it's a little bit disheartening for us because we do put so much time and effort into building trust and relationships in these communities because they've been burned before by people who are, coming in saying, oh, I'm here to help, and then turn around and don't do the right thing by them. So it's really important to us, and I guess we just have to talk about it more to get all of our community on the same page, because we're all here looking at these posts because we love animals. No one who's commented any of those things is a bad person or isn't caring about the animals. I think we're just here spreading awareness and education about some of the barriers that remote community owners face, which actually makes it harder for them to own these pets. We haven't even touched on that. Like, there's bad owners everywhere, but it's so much easier to be an owner who's not meeting all of your pet's needs in a remote community where food is 4 times the price of what you and I can buy it for at Coles and Woolies. There's no tick, flea, worming prevention, so you have to get it on the mail plane. There's literally no vets. Like, some of these communities, it's a 13-hour drive to the vets, which I just always come back to that because I swear with my one dog, I'm at the vets every second week when something pops up. So at some point you do have to be a little bit logical, and you can't be driving down to the vets with your dog every second week. You've got to let some things play out and see how they eventuate and everything like that. So I'm glad that we were able to talk about this, and it's probably something that we will talk about again many times. But we are grateful to everyone who did comment, share, like, donate. It all makes a massive difference, and we would hate for this discussion to upset anybody who did comment or try to help or anything like that. Please know it's not intended to upset anyone. We're not trying to target or victimize anyone. We just needed to say where we come from and where we stand as a rescue, and hope that we can, spread that message and share education about what these pet owners are facing in communities. So
and I think before you get into rescue, you have no idea. Because
that's true.
I've only been in the rescue side of things, I think, about a year now, and prior to that I had no idea what it was like. And so, I would have thought the same thing and just said, that's so cruel. How could people do it? And then coming into rescue, there's a lot of education around communities and the remoteness. So, I think it is probably a learning lesson that people who do comment on, we are happy to provide that education as well, just because there is so much to learn. And it might actually give you an opportunity if you did decide to, if you're listening and you think, oh, wow, I didn't know that. It can give an opportunity then if you do decide to help down the track, what might interest you in helping more, whether it be sending food or sending preventative, that kind of thing.
It's never a bad thing to learn more. And like I said, if you scroll far enough back in my Facebook history, you'll probably find some similar comments. So definitely this is still a no judgment zone for anybody, but we wouldn't be doing the right thing by our communities and our rescue if we didn't stop and have a chat about it. So thank you for joining us today, Tamsin. You do such amazing work. We are so grateful to have you basically running RAA. Save many lives this week and every other week. So thank you very much,
Yeah.
and we will talk to you
Yes,
soon.
thank you. All right, sounds
Bye.
great. Have a good night.
See ya.
Bye.